I got the email that it was like approved NBA credential, I started bawling my eyes out.
People think it's very different, like being on TV versus competing, but there's a lot of thinking on your feet quickly.
Journalism will survive in some form or another, and it needs people to be dedicated to it, and I'm there for that.
If I had to say something to, me 3 years ago, 4 years ago, before I started this whole journey, it would be just to take the risks.
My favorite quote that I always say all the time is, the answer is always no unless you try.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Holden's Conversations. Today's guest is someone that I connected with a couple weeks ago through a mutual, and we spoke for almost an hour, but I knew like 5 minutes in I wanted to have him on the pod. Before I tell everyone who he is, he works for Screen Rant. He's 25 years old and he's already interviewed Chris Pratt, Chris Evans, Sylvester Stallone, John Cena, Adam Sandler, Channing Tatum, Scarlett Johansson, and recently just Jeremy Allen White. And I love the bear. I still need to watch season 4. His name is Liam Crowley. Liam, thank you so much for being here.
Holden, thanks for having me on the pod. Your check is in the mail after that intro. Good God, I appreciate it.
Send it to the YouTube account. My first question for you is, so when you're outside of your job, you are the person who interviews celebrities. But when you are doing that job, you are that person as well, but the connotation changes. So it goes from like, wow, you're so cool. I know this because, I've spoken to a few NBA players and people think I'm cool, and I haven't done anything that you've done to the level, but even I feel this. How do you kind of balance those both hats where it's like one place you're on top of the world and the other place it's like, you're kind of like there to do a job almost?
That's a really good question to start, man.
Bring in the heat.
Yeah. I would say I'm kind of the same person 24/7, just to different like levels of energy. My career requires me to kind of give like 110%, sometimes as high as like 120%. And that can feel like a lot on a lethargic day. Like if I'm operating at 70% and I got to dial it up to 120, I'm really going to feel that extra level. But to kind of answer your question of like, who am I on camera versus off camera? There is definitely like a balance that has to be had with like understanding when to take a step back and understanding that you're not going to always feel how you feel when like the lights are on. And I felt this way when I was at Syracuse too. I felt so at home at like the Citrus TV anchor desk and stuff like that. And when you step back and you just go back to your like quieter life, even if your life isn't quiet, at the end of the day, we all go to bed in silence. We all come home to either an empty house or a quiet house, depending on what time we finish our work days. And you just got to learn how to live with that balance and not get like so caught up in the idea of always being in go mode, because as much as the Syracuse Newhouse mantra is work and hustle as hard as you can, it's not healthy to be on like that 24/7. So knowing when to embrace the downtime, I think helps tremendously. I don't fully know if that answered your question, but I feel like I kind of touched on some aspects of it.
No, it does. And before I continue, Liam is a Syracuse grad, but
class of 22, baby. Go Orange.
I had Gil Gross, class of 21 on the pod a couple weeks ago. One of very few Syracuse grads, so Liam knows that he's special for it. I've only had 3 or 4 and I'm almost done like 20 episodes. But I digress. You did answer the question, because I think a lot of times we have a different expectation for ourselves than what actually happens a lot of times. And when you're a performer, and you are a performer when you're on air, you're presenting something, it's hard to kind of get caught up in what reality isn't.
Yeah. No, I totally understand what you're saying there. And I do agree. It's like any type of broadcast in general is a performance, right? Because you're using a voice that you don't use in everyday speak. You're using a lexicon that you're not going to use with your friends, so to speak. So yeah, there's definitely a way to navigate it and a way to kind of develop your on-screen personality without it being so different from who you are personally, and just knowing how to get into that mode and not need to have to like flip a switch between 2 different people. Just kind of being like for me, for example, like this morning, I did my whole morning. I actually wasn't on camera today, so this is kind of a bad example, but on a day where like Comic-Con a couple weeks ago, I had 7 interviews that day and I was moderating a panel, and I knew the only way to get to where I needed to be presentation wise, like vocally, energy level, is to start my day with some calm, which is going to the gym, having a workout, phone off, notifications on do not disturb, listen to some good music, do like a cold plunge and sauna, and just have that kind of slow crescendo into where I need to be in order for me to work on screen. So like, I never like the idea of like flipping a switch on and off between being on air and off air. It's like a gradual like build up to getting ready for that level, if that makes sense.
It's like a lifestyle, you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I built my lifestyle around my career, not vice versa.
I want to go back to what you're talking about. Like, well, you always have to be the same person on and off camera. Is that harder though when you're interviewing celebrities? I mean, not just celebrities, but actors who are so tactical in their behaviors and they know when you're BSing, right? We were talking about this a couple weeks ago, but you were talking about how like, hey, if I'm not as prepared as I want to be for an interview, it's not like I'm interviewing someone on the street and they don't know it. Like you have to be, you can't BS the BS masters.
Yeah. When you put it like that, it's really true, because it's like when your occupation is acting for a living, you can tell when people are not being their fully authentic selves. And so for that reason, I have found, and anytime I go into a junket or a red carpet, and for those who are listening who don't know it, a junket is just like a series of interviews that happen during a day for a particular TV show or movie. Anytime I'm going into one of those where it's a property that I'm not a huge expert on, like a huge blind spot I have is Star Trek, for example. And I interviewed 2 different Star Trek casts at Comic-Con a couple of weeks ago. And rather than like memorize a script of questions that were helped formulated by a couple of my colleagues who write about Star Trek at Screen Rant, shout out John O. He's one of the ones who really helped me with those questions. I just call it out. I'm just like, I don't say on a hot mic that I'm not an expert, but I'm like, this question comes from my colleague John, who's a massive fan of the franchise. And sure, it's my responsibility to deliver it in a way that is audible and legible for the ears, so to speak. But by doing something like that, I'm not giving this illusion that this very eloquently written question is something that came from my mind, because I don't like to fake any of that stuff. I pride myself on being authentic. My most successful interviews have been the ones where my passion for film and the process of making film and casting and cinematography and scores and soundtracks and all that stuff, when that stuff shines through, it's because it's coming from the heart. It's nothing that I like scripted beforehand. And so, yeah, on that note, I double down on it when I feel it authentically. And when I know I have a job to do, I don't try to fake anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's kind of signaling something to people that can have different connotations. So it's like to the viewer, you saying this is from my producer may not mean anything. To you, it gives you this feeling that you're being authentic. And then to the person you're interviewing, it gives kind of a fusion of both potentially.
Yeah. I think that is ultimately the goal, I would say. And I think I just never want to take credit for anyone else's work at the end of the day. As anyone who does broadcast knows, it takes a village. It's something I have said since I did Citrus TV at Syracuse years ago, whenever we were, yeah. What's up?
I said Syracuse's student TV station, just for
yes, yeah. I need to start clarifying anytime I use Syracuseisms, because I recognize your audience might not all be Syracuse people, but yeah. Syracuse had a Citrus TV station, which was student run media, and at the end of our broadcasts, I would always, when we do our like little rundown meeting at the end and say what worked and what didn't work, and it basically, to paint a mental picture here, you have your 2 anchors at the desk. So I was one of the anchors, and I was sitting almost like to give like a visual hierarchy. The anchor is like almost on a throne, right? Like it's the whole crew is built around them and they're at the center, but they're not even the ones talking. It's typically the producer who's recapping the whole show. And then it's like there would be this moment where they hand the dialogue off to myself and a co-anchor and be like, how did you guys feel? What worked well for you? What didn't? And I never wanted to be the person who is like, oh, you needed to do your job better. You needed to do this. You needed to do that. I want to be like, listen, here's where I messed up. Here's where you guys all did great things. Here's where we can all improve together. And more than anything that I did right on camera, I am standing on the shoulders of everything that you did right behind the scenes. And I would always say it takes a village, whether you were just holding a camera, and the cameras at the station were like on tripod, so not physically holding it, but just holding it in place, or whether you were cutting B-roll in the production room, whatever it may be, there's no job too small. Everything is super crucial, and that has carried on to my professional career. Whether it be people helping me with questions, whether it be my editors cutting together video, whether it just be my bosses giving me the opportunity to do these interviews. That's one thing I want to emphasize too. Holden mentioned all those great names I got to speak to earlier this year. I'd like to think that my skill set has earned me the spot in that room, but never once in my career has a PR rep or a studio come to me directly and said, we want Liam to do it. We don't care what publication he's working for. I am at the mercy of my employer. And so Screen Rant, my bosses here are the ones who trust me with doing these big interviews, but these are interviews for Screen Rant. So yeah, like I said, whether it be an editor, a colleague, a writer, a producer, or my bosses who are the ones literally just looping me in on the email and getting me into the room, those are the ones who make the magic happen. And I'm just the one trusted with, swinging the bat at the plate, so to speak.
What does it mean to you that you're 25 years old and bosses at multi-million-dollar companies who are interviewing celebrities day in and day out say, we want Liam Crowley to be doing it. We want you to be doing this.
Damn, Holden, you're getting me emotional out here. You're getting me emotional today. It means the world. This time last year, I was very lost in my career. And that feeling of being lost is not lost on me. I wear my heart on my sleeve every day. I wake up very grateful every day to have the career that I have. And all I've ever wanted was just one chance to prove that I can do what I say I'm capable of. And to have that chance on a weekly, sometimes daily basis now is, I don't have the words to explain it. It's everything I've ever asked for in my career. And it's not lost on me that it's happening at the age that it is. I feel very young, and not just because I am young for my profession. I remember when I turned 25 this past July, my friends would joke and be like, "Oh, happy birthday, Unc! Happy birthday! Like, one more year on the parents' health insurance, and then you're really screwed." And I was like, what's funny? I feel younger at 25 than I did turning 24 and 23, because both of those previous ages I celebrated in the same spot I was the year prior. Nothing had changed around me. I was writing articles from my mom's basement, making the same salary with the same group of friends. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but we as human beings crave growth. We crave evolving both internally and externally. And when I looked back on 25 compared to 24, I was in a new city. I was working for a new employer. I had new career opportunities. I still have my great group of friends from home, but I have even more friends here in New York City from all different backgrounds, whether that be different backgrounds of careers. I've never had so many friends in the entertainment world. Like, it's such a blessing. Like, I'm sure you feel this, getting to talk with people that have the same passions that you do, but the specific passions. Sure, there are a lot of people who are fans of sports and movies, but how many people are specifically fans of the press conferences that happen at the NBA draft? How many people are specifically fans of the box office reports after an opening weekend of a couple big blockbusters? Like, to have people like that in my life means a lot. So the original question about how much does that trust mean to me, it means the world, and I do not take a single second of it for granted.
Well, one thing on being around people who aren't just interested in sports or music or entertainment, but being interested in doing the same things as you want to do, it's very comforting. And it actually feels, as long as you're not super duper competitive, it actually feels like you can take more time trying to get to where you want to go because you're not alone.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest misconceptions about the broadcast industry, is that it's a big competition, because it really isn't. There's a slice of pie for everyone. Like, there's so many different niches. Holden, I've seen you do work with the NBA draft specifically, and that is one niche within the NBA. Like you could do 1,000 different things within the NBA. There are 30 different teams in the NBA, and then 100 different angles within those teams because there's different systems. Same thing with entertainment media. I've been very blessed to get to cover TV and film broadly, but I have colleagues who specifically focus on film awards, like not even just like films that are covered, like specifically award season films. And for that reason, we all lift each other up. Like I'm at these interview junkets with dozens of other reporters and hosts and some journalists as well. And we're all getting the same time with the same people, but we're all asking our own different questions. Kevin McCarthy, I always shout him out whenever I do a podcast.
When I was interning at Fox 5 DC, he was around sometimes.
Kevin.
I don't know him, but I interned at the same place where he
Wow. Yeah, Kevin's a legend in the industry. Holden's referencing the station he was working at before he just now has his own personal media empire that he's growing in LA. But Kevin was someone who, anytime we were at a junket together, he's the one asking about aspect ratios and score inflections and the very nitty-gritty process of making film. And that's authentic to him. That's what he is curious about. Someone like me, for example, this year I found a big niche in asking about blocking of scenes because I come from a theater background. So I'm always curious as to where characters are placed and what that visual communicates about the power dynamics in a particular scene. So everyone has their own unique niche. Everyone has their own different way of approaching things. And for that reason, it's better to be surrounded by people like that because, you get inspired by your peers. You shouldn't be trying to compete with them per se.
Have any of your peers ever doubted you or laughed at you for wanting to do theater or wanting to do entertainment? Because I think anyone who wants to have a mic in front of them or holding a mic rather, you deal with some level of humiliation, especially if you're not going into broadcast news where you're reporting on pipe legislation, where it's not that it's monotonous in a bad way, but it's giving people more essential information sometimes. Have people kind of ever made fun of you for that or anything?
Oh yeah, the quote of the year, Holden, is from one Austin Butler. He was giving an interview for a movie he was doing in August called Caught Stealing. It wasn't my interview, it was a street interview he did. And he said, embarrassment is an underexplored emotion. Go out there and make a fool of yourself. And I had already been embracing that over the past year. I'm the guy who dances along to his music in the mirror at the gym. I'm the guy who goes up to people on the subway and says, hey, I like that backpack. Nice haircut. Good, cool shoes. Who cares, right? You got one life to live. Just be yourself. Live life like you're the main character of your own TV show or movie, because in your own mind you are. There's no use in playing a background character in your own story. And yeah, of course, I had freaking professors at Syracuse who told me I was crazy for wanting to go into entertainment media. The very ones that were supposed to be teaching me the education, they were just like, digital media. They're like, with your skills, Liam, you should be doing local news and doing the weather and tapping on the screens. And I was flattered that they thought I was good at some of those aspects, but the reality was I didn't have a passion for it. Like, sure, I love the performance of it. I love the performance of playing a news anchor on TV. But the context of the stories, the content of the stories, I should say, didn't fire me up as much as film. Like there was a way I could psych myself up about it, sure, but I wake up every morning and I'm crazy about film and TV. I don't have to convince myself of it. So yeah, same thing with people back home. I'll never forget this. This was Thanksgiving 2020. I had gone home for Thanksgiving. I was sitting around a fire pit with some hometown friends. And this was about 3 months after I launched a podcast for a website I used to work for called thedirect.com, a place that I attribute, my career really starting. That's where a lot of my connections began. That's where a lot of my confidence came from. And we're sitting around this fire, and we were with a group of girls, and they were asking about the podcast that I had started because they saw me posting about it on social media. And this group of girls wasn't like a group that we were like super tight with, but we would hang out with them because no one likes just like an all dudes hangout. Like, you just get a bunch of people together, sit around a fire, toast some marshmallows, have a good conversation, catch up on stories of where you're at in college. And I guess maybe one of my friends was annoyed that I was getting some attention from people that they wanted attention from, but regardless of why they said it, before I could respond to the question of how's your podcast going, one of my closest friends of all time said, "Oh, his podcast with like 7 subscribers," and I'll never forget that. Because it was a slight, it was a diss at me, and I was like, okay, and that was 4 years ago, and I think where I'm at now speaks for itself. By no means am I someone who takes things like personal, and I don't hold like a chip on my shoulder. And I don't say that story to be like, oh, I proved so and so wrong, because it's like that was never at the forefront of my mind. But when you ask if people doubted me, like, yeah, even my closest friends, I think people get intimidated by people pursuing their dreams because everyone has the capability to, but not everyone has the strength to take that first step and keep going, or maybe not even take the first step, but taking multiple steps after falling a couple of times. I know plenty of people who had everything going for them, but just like it's the meme of it's the betting meme, right? Like right before you get the diamonds, you stopped.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who did that with their dreams. And I was too stubborn to ever quit. I never had a backup plan. Like, this was when people ask me like how'd I do it, I'm like, I don't really know. I never quit, and I adapted, and it was fun. It was about the journey. It was never about the destination. I don't even think I've reached the destination. I think I'm just on the journey forever.
Are you still friends with that person?
Oh yeah, we're still good friends.
Have you asked them about that recently?
No.
Okay.
maybe one day, but
Just wondering, because you're like, look at me almost 5 years later. I want to kind of talk about how on your Twitter, your pinned post is a post inside of a post where you say in early 2022, while you're still in college at Syracuse, I'm going to be at the series premiere on Disney Plus for Percy Jackson. And then the post posted above that, I don't know, is it repost, tweet, whatever.
quote tweet.
Quote tweet.
Yeah.
Quote tweet is an image of you at Percy Jackson's series premiere for Disney Plus. Maybe it's not it's not like oh, I have to be spiteful and like, prove my haters wrong. But like, why do you have that there? And is it kind of related to like manifesting and being like, hey, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, that one has nothing to do with like any haters or detractors. Like
Well,
I only
not haters, but
sure.
more just like this idea of me saying I'm going to do something. I don't care if it sounds ridiculous. And you see, look at it. I did it.
Yeah. Well, I will say too, because even though I just referenced that story, like, sure, there have been people who have like doubted me in the past, but I really don't have people like preying on my downfall or some shit like that. Like, I have a lot of support, and I'm very grateful for it, honestly. Like, I would not be where I'm at today if I didn't have the people in my corner. And a real quick story, I was laid off last year, around this time last year, and the flurry of texts I got from friends, family, peers, and mentors, people who I was shocked they even had my phone number, that they reached out and texted me and were concerned for me and were rooting for me. That will always mean the world. So I always want to give flowers to my people, because it takes a village. Even if they're not working directly with you, we need that support from our people around us. But yeah, no, that tweet, that was, it's a shame that Twitter went through the changes it did, because when it was bought by its current owners, all the old tweets were like erased. So it's actually a triple quote tweet. The original tweet was deleted, but I quote tweeted the original tweet, which was Twitter, the @Twitter account, running this campaign where they were saying, if you can dream it, tweet it. And they had referenced a bunch of old athletes and actors. A very famous one was Simu Liu, the actor who plays Shang-Chi in the Marvel movies, back in 2013, said, "Hey, at Marvel, let's talk. #Shang-Chi." And 6 years later, he got cast in the role. And so that was like an example that they used. Other athletes were just like, I want to play for the Memphis Grizzlies one day, and boom, they get drafted so and so years later. And so I quote tweeted it being like, I will work the red carpet premiere of Percy Jackson. It's something I believed. It's something I knew I was capable of doing. And it was far enough in advance that I was like, I don't got to scramble to get this together tomorrow. If I just keep working and keep doing things right, I think my journey will get me here. And when that day did come, I believe it was December 13th, 2023, if I'm not mistaken. I remember because one of my best friends from home, Kevin, shared a birthday with one of the dates of a Percy Jackson event. I think it was this one. Yeah, I did a bunch of interviews on that carpet. I screened the first 2 episodes in the theater, and then had a lovely after party with a lot of good friends that I had made in the industry, and also got to chat with like the actors, which was really cool. Off camera too, which is always the best conversations, the ones that are just like more human, and neither of us are trying to like, appease an audience. We're just one-on-one. But anyways, yeah, at the beginning of that premiere, before the carpet fully opened, I parked myself right by the logo. I had my microphone in hand and book in the other. I got the photo and I quote tweeted the old tweet, and I said, "Swish." It's a little arrogant, but I was very proud of myself for bringing that thing full circle.
You earned it though. You absolutely earned it.
Thank you for saying that. That's one of the highlights of my life for sure.
How did having a Percy Jackson following, help you get there too? Because while you were in college, you created a lot of Percy Jackson content on your personal Instagram, and not only did that help build a Percy Jackson brand, but it also built Liam Crowley's brand as an entertainment media person.
Yeah, it made the world a difference, genuinely. Like I knew at the second that the Percy Jackson series was announced, I wanted that to be like my beat, so to speak. Like, to make a sports comparison, you can cover the NBA, but you want your beat to be the Boston Celtics. So you figure out a way to like, I don't know, you hitch your wagon to a team that might be in a rebuild phase. And not to say I guess you could say Percy Jackson was in a rebuild phase, because the movies had come out in the early 2010s and they didn't satisfy general audiences or diehard fans of the books. So when Disney Plus announced the reboot, it technically was a rebuild. And I knew I wanted that to be my Marvel, my Star Wars, because it is. Like, I grew up on those books. That was my first franchise. When I was 7 years old and I read The Lightning Thief, I was so proud of myself, because I was like, oh my God, I just read like 360 pages and comprehended it all. And now I'm obsessed with this lore and Greek mythology. And my first and only tattoo right now is of the fall of Icarus. Like, I love these stories, and they've genuinely influenced my career. Like, my obsession with Percy Jackson got me into the crossover element of the Marvel movies, which got me into film in general, which then, boom, light bulb moment. I want to be a film reporter, a film TV host, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, as soon as announcements started getting made, at the time, I didn't have an outlet to like platform them. So rather than wait around until I had the chance to write an article or make a video, I just made like tweets on my Twitter, or I made a YouTube video when Walker Scobell was cast as Percy, just being like, this is why this kid is perfect for this role. And at the time, because it was an unproven franchise, not really any other outlets or personalities were doing things with Percy. And so by getting in early, I had built the trust of the diehard audience to the point now where, and this is a funny story, because if anyone from the Percy fandom watches this podcast, I feel like I'm revealing something here. I took a picture of myself with a Percy Jackson like banner at New York Comic Con a couple weeks ago when I was there. And it was just a selfie with me with the banner in the background, and I just captioned it "soon." And I was referencing the fact that the show comes out soon. The show comes out in December, season 2. And it got like 1,000 likes, and everyone's like, what does this mean? And I'm like, I'm just taking a selfie with the poster. Like, it was a very like honest, just like me being like, I'm excited for season 2 to come around. But I say that because like the only reason a tweet like that does traction is because the audience has been familiar with my work with that franchise specifically for genuinely, now it's crazy to say this out loud, 5.5 years. The film series, the Disney Plus series was announced in April of 2020, even, not 2022, 2020 even. And so I've been doing a little bit of coverage of it on almost a daily or weekly basis since. And now that we're in season 2 and the show's a massive hit, the #1 show in Disney Plus history, and all these other outlets like want to sink their teeth into it. And they're doing a great job, but I can confidently say in my space, like, I know the books at an expert level, and I can bring my own unique lens to it that is definitely appreciated by the fandom. And that means a lot to me. Like anytime I see a comment that's just like, we love Liam's interviews, like that's not lost on me. And I feel responsible. I feel responsibility from that. I'm like, I can't rest on the laurels of a past success. Like now I need to uphold that gold standard with every single one going forward. So yeah, to answer your question, to bring it full circle, having a following related to the franchise that was built from day one, from the ground up, is the reason why I'm anywhere within that franchise specifically.
Well, I'd also say that the reason you're anywhere in the Percy Jackson space is because you didn't wait for anything too. You said, look, I want to make content. I may not have a platform ready for me, so I'm just going to make my own. That has to go into it. Being a bold
yeah, that's one of that is the best advice anyone who's getting into the reporting, broadcast, content creation space in general. The best advice you can ever get is just start. Too often people wait until they're like, well, I got to get the right mic and I got to get the right camera and I got to get a ring light and I have to be inspired. No, you just got to start. Like that's the only, like, you got to equate it to sports or equate it to cooking or any other passion. Like no one waited until they were perfect to start dribbling a basketball for the first time. No one waited until they had the right ingredients to make food. Like if you're hungry, you're going to figure out a way to eat. Damn, that's kind of a bar. Whoa. Oh my God. That was off the dome right
I'm
now.
going to make sure to clip that one for the show.
Oh my
that
God.
The shorts.
Wow. I'm like shocked at myself right now. But it's true. Like if you care about this stuff, and you want to do something with it, you'll just start. And that's like, I'm guilty of this too. There have been so many times, so many content opportunities I've had. I got 2 shoe boxes full of keepsakes from the past 5 years of doing entertainment media, whether they be ticket stubs, whether they be press badges, whether they be literally just an envelope that had a ticket to an after party in there. And I've had this idea for months of just like, why don't I just do a series of like the story behind this little trinket or this little trinket? And I've just been like, oh no, I got to wait till I get the right background and the right lighting. And while I'm still waiting to do that series because I'm not holding my own advice, I have started just telling stories on TikTok, just off the cuff, just being like, I'm not going to worry about editing. I'm not going to worry about polishing it up. I'm just going to press record, start talking, whether I talk for a minute straight or 8 minutes straight, we'll tell a cool story and we'll go from there. And it's honestly, if all else fails, I don't care about the views. It's about building up the skill. Like I feel more comfortable talking on camera and talking without a filter and being forced to just go and not restart all the time because I'm giving myself the opportunity to have the reps of, getting used to this kind of stuff. So yeah, if you're hungry, you'll figure out a way to eat. Oof.
But additionally too, by you making TikToks and you're just going like this, talking about whatever, you're also letting your audience know more about Liam Crowley. And that's important too. I think that the best journalists and the best people in media are the ones who can understand beyond the art or the craft that they talk about.
Absolutely. I mean, that is one of the highest compliments I can ever get is when people say that I'm authentic, because I am. Like what you see is what you get. Like this is me. I don't have like a separate, my Instagram is one Instagram. I've never made a private account for like my personal life. Like I'm very transparent about who I am. I just told an 8-minute story on TikTok about me getting laid off last year, like that. And it's a crucial part of my journey. Like it's not something to hide or shy away. And I'd like to carry myself as much as I can as an everyman, as someone who like anyone knows in their daily life, because I am just an ordinary guy at the end of the day. But I also try to bring a level of professionalism too. And I think that is also authentic. You can be professional while still maintaining authenticity. Like the clothes I wear are what I like. Like I've never worn a suit and felt like I was dressing up. Like it feels right. I've never, done up my hair or spoken in a certain eloquent way and felt like I was being someone else. Like I've always felt like me. And so it feels only right to let any audience who follows me know a little bit more about who I am, like on the inside.
Speaking of your hair, something I've noticed is The amount of different hairstyles you've had, Liam, over the years is just absolutely absurd. I needed to find a way to get this in there.
Yeah.
Around that, like sometimes you've like massive hair, sometimes it's like this, sometimes it's longer. What goes into that? I have to know.
I got my hair cut today.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That still does not change the story here.
That's funny timing. Yeah, I just get bored. I don't know. I like to switch it up. I like different eras too. Like when I started with Screen Rant, I did some messy bangs and tightened it up on the sides. Now I'm kind of back to what's a little bit more familiar, but I've exaggerated a middle part when before I would just kind of have it pushed back. I've had longer sideburns. I've had a beard. I had a mustache this time last year. I'm actually growing a mustache right now for a Halloween costume.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to stay fresh. And I also like the idea of just like, I grew up on a lot of, this is a very random, way to link this together, but I grew up on a lot of professional wrestling. I love professional wrestling. It's one of my favorite mediums of storytelling.
Still pursuing it, right, by the way? Are you still pursuing it?
You know a lot. You know a lot, Holden. I have not
wanted to interview you. I better know a lot.
I've not trained in a year, but I will wrestle a match before I turn 30. That is I don't want to say that's my goal. That's what will happen. Wrestling takes a lot. It was 2 sessions a week for 3 hours each. And I just unfortunately don't have that time in my schedule right now, but we'll get back to it. We will definitely get back to it. But on the wrestling note, the best professional wrestlers, the ones who have had the longest careers, are the ones who evolve with the times, and then they're not the same static character for a 20-year career. Typically, that doesn't work. After 4 or 5 years of being that same character, you get phased out. And so my favorite wrestlers are the ones who every 2 or 3 years would have a different ring gear or a different color palette that they would use, or different entrance music, or different look. Like some of my favorites have done the long hair, the short hair, the facial hair, like whatever it may be. And so I kind of treat like media in a similar way, in the sense of like, I want to always evolve my look and switch back and forth, so I never feel like, I don't know, repetitive, I guess. Like I still have the same suits and stuff, but like I'll mix up like a different tie and pocket square combo or stuff like that. And hair is a big one too. Glasses, I wear glasses like every other interview these days, just to like keep it fresh and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about my hair. I love talking about my hair, and I never got to. So appreciate the question.
So noticeable when like I've seen your work from like now to a couple years ago when you work with comicbook.com. Like it just jumps at you.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to perm it back in the day. I used to get get the curls, the fake curls.
Speaking though of adapting and evolving over time, you launched Coffee Chats, which is a coffee chat, literally, with actors and people in the movie world and entertainment world. How is that going to evolve over time? I know it's relatively young, but you're talking about how you evolve over time. How does your work evolve over time?
That's a great question. Yeah, we're in our freshman year with the series right now. It'll turn 1 year in February, which is crazy that it's already coming up on that milestone. And we've shot 8 episodes. We've published 7. By the time this goes out, the 8th one will probably be live. And we have a couple other big name guests in the works to round out the year. The ultimate goal is to have an even 10 episodes by the end of 2025. And yeah, I don't want to say it's formulaic, because it's definitely every episode is a little bit different, because the type of conversation is different. But I do have the ambition of it evolving like a Hot Ones, in the sense of Hot Ones. If you watch the early episodes that Sean did, they're very different from what he has now. And he's found his groove, he's found his rhythm, but none of that stuff happens overnight. And none of that stuff is necessarily scripted, in the sense of like, the changes that will happen to Coffee Chats as the years go on, they won't be changes that I anticipate right now. I will do a future episode where I will do one thing that I don't know what it is right now, and it'll work really well. And then I'll want to double down on it for the next episode. And then there'll be a segment that I'm like, I didn't really care for that. We'll scrap it. We'll push it to the side. And it's kind of like, if you know the story of the ship of Theseus, which is this idea of there's one ship and it's fully constructed, and then there's another ship identical, but it's made with all spare parts. And what happened over the years is those two ships were identical at one point, but at a certain point, the bow broke, so we had to get a spare part for the bow, and then the sail broke, and we had to get a new sail. And but after a couple of years, the entire ship has been replaced with spare parts. So technically, it's a completely new ship, but it's still the same ship of Theses, so to speak.
The soul's still there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a show like Coffee Chats or anything in your media career, anything you're building around will ultimately be like its own version of Ship of Theses, where the product 5 years down the line might look completely foreign to the product that it started as, but it won't just be all of a sudden, boom, it's shifted completely. Over years, you'll take one piece out, you'll replace it with another, and you'll make it better for that reason.
I think that's an example of why when you're starting your own media in any form, you can't have like 12-year plans when you haven't even posted anything yet, because
Exactly.
you're going to evolve with it. And like what this podcast is right now, like month 9 of it almost, is not what it was 4 months ago. Right. So it's just kind of keeping that mindset almost, and just being open to knowing that what I anticipate is not actually going to happen. And that's not always a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's good to stay on your toes in that sense. And it's a good thing to change your plans. Like if everything goes according to plan, then there's no surprise. And the surprise is the magic of everything that we do. It's those unexpected moments that are the ones that like tend to live forever.
Yeah. I want to switch it up a little bit. Do you ever get starstruck now?
Yes, I do.
You want to share who?
Let's see. It's happened recently. When was it? I'll say Chris Evans. I was pretty starstruck by. That was in June. I mean, that's Captain America, bro. Like that's my dog. Like that's like I grew up like Chris Evans is a Boston actor. I'm from Boston originally. He played my favorite character in fiction from the point of me being 10 years old all the way to the point of me being 18 in the theater at Avengers Endgame, crying from the second he picked up Thor's hammer. Like when I walked into that room and he was paired with Dakota Johnson, who's a massive star in her own right. And I would have been starstruck by her individually too, but I couldn't even focus on the pairing of it all. I was just like, it's Chris Evans. Like that's my hero. But I will say I've reached a point in my career where I can be, my level of starstruck isn't like what it was like 3 years ago, in the sense of like, I can be like, whoa, this person means a lot to me, but still carry on and do my job. Like I was not nervous enough to talk to Chris that I couldn't like formulate my words. Like I still was able to like have an unscripted conversation and talk like human beings. But I was still just like, I said to him at the beginning, I was like, Chris, I'm not going to lie to you. This is a pretty big deal for me. Like, even aside the Captain America aspect, you're a Boston guy. I grew up on your work. I'm talking Defending Jacob. I'm talking Snowpiercer. I'm talking Knives Out. Like these are all very formative projects for me. So, it's really cool to get to be here today. And I said it like that. I wasn't like, oh my God, it's Captain America. But I've had other ones. I'm trying to think ones recently where I just like didn't know what to do. Or, oh, you know what happened? Cillian Murphy. I had Cillian Murphy a couple months ago, and he's from the same county that my father's from in Ireland, County Cork. So I interview a lot of Irish actors, but they tend to be from like Belfast, which is Northern Ireland, or Dublin, which is the capital, which is very far from where my family's from. But County Cork is like, I know that county like the back of my hand. I've been there several times. I've spent months of my life there. And Cillian Murphy being, a representative of that, and knowing I made the mistake of telling my family beforehand that I was interviewing him. And they were just all, I don't want to say they set me up for failure, but they were talking about how big of a deal it was. And as soon as they said that, I already knew it was a big deal. Like that's J. Robert, bro. Like that's Oppenheimer. Beyond that, I was like, now my whole family's going to watch this and I can't let them down. And it went well. But still, I watched that interview back and I'm like, oh, he's a little nervous, isn't he? Talking about myself. I'm like, I know what it's like to do an interview and be how I'm talking to you right now, Holden. And that day I was a little bit more shy, reserved, quieter. And It's okay. Starstruck is just a synonym for being nervous. And neurologically, the same neurons that go off in your brain when you're nervous are the same neurons that go off when you're excited. So if you're not a little nervous, it's not the best. You want to be nervous. Nervous is excitement.
Well, I guess now I have a psychology podcast too.
Yeah, I'm full of random knowledge out here.
Full of random knowledge. Speaking of random knowledge and now random numbers, earlier this year, you said, and I have these numbers written down, that you were on pace to listen to 150,000 minutes of music. You know how many days that is?
I feel like I'm on Nardwar right now. Where I know for a fact I said that, but I'm like, where did he find that? How many days is 150,000 minutes? Well, let me tell you right now, because the song, there's a musical that goes 525,600 minutes, and that's how many minutes are in a year. So 150,000 over 525, it's about a third. Is it about like over 100 days?
104 days.
Wow.
Are you still on that? And are you okay?
Oh my God, I'm red in the face right now. I'm not on that pace anymore. I think, what would that be? 3,000 minutes a week. Yeah. So I listen to
that was quick right there.
Yeah, well, that's a quick math. 52 weeks in a year. But yeah, I was listening to a lot because I listen to a lot of music a day as is. Just because whether I'm at the gym or commuting, it's New York City, so you're walking around, you have your headphones in. But sometimes when I'm just like at my desk, like not every day is interviews and carpets and events in person. Like there's a lot of like admin work that goes on behind the scenes, whether it be like editing a transcript or going through emails or scheduling things. And so when that's happening, I just have the headphones in. So I'm okay relatively, I would say, but I definitely have here's how bad my over reliance on music is for like stimulation. This morning at the gym, when I left my set to go to the locker room, I had my over the head headphones on, but I also pack my wireless Beats like AirPods ones, because after I get out of the shower and my hair's wet, I still want to listen to something, but I can't wear over the head headphones because how's my hair going to dry? So I put in the wireless ones so I can listen to music while I'm like brushing my teeth and doing my hair. Because the idea of going 20 minutes without music in a quiet room, I guess, is too much for me. So maybe I'm not okay, but yeah, we're gonna by the end of the year, my goal, I want to hit 80,000, like proudly.
Proudly. You said that you were on pace for 150K. Obviously, I don't know what you're at right now, but it seems like you've already surpassed that.
I hope so. I get the weekly recaps, and the weekly recaps have gone from 3,000 minutes down to like 1,200.
Okay.
So it teeters. It depends.
Does your iPhone tell you like, hey, like you need to stop listening to music or anything like that? Are you getting those notifications?
It tells me your volume is too loud and it could cause ear damage. And I say, you're just telling me that because you want me to buy new headphones. Because I think my ears are okay. We'll see.
Just winding down here. Sorry, I'm just laughing. Is there ever a point where you're like, hey, I was reporting on whatever stories I was in Syracuse, and now I'm 25 years old, living in the Big Apple, which is not only the media capital of the world, it's one of the entertainment capitals of the world. And I'm shooting the shit with Jeremy Allen White, asking him why he capitalizes A for every lyric note in Bruce Springsteen songs. Like, is that ever crazy?
Yeah, it is. Damn. Well, first off, hold on. I gave you props for doing your research, because like, I know it's second nature to you. You said it earlier about just like, well, I'm interviewing you, so I want to do my research. But like, you'd be surprised how many people don't. They just go in blind, and I'm
not a master in BS, so I guess I can't do it.
Hey, that is some people's interview style, and it works if you want to go in blind. But I applaud you for that level of research, because also like I don't know, it's cool to hear the work I do get said back to me at times, because I'm like, I don't always check the notifications. I don't know if people are watching, so to know people are watching is pretty cool. But yeah, no, I live a very blessed life. I'm very grateful for it, and there's not a day that goes by where I'm not like, yeah, this is the dream. Like even I will say too, even just working in an office, like Screen Rant, our parent company, Valnet, we have an office here in New York City that I have the luxury of having a desk at every day of the week. When people look at me like I have 10 heads, when I'm like, they're like, you go into the office every day willingly? I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Why would I want to work from home? Why would I want to work from a laptop in my bedroom when I could be at a swivel chair with my decorated desk, with my desktop? If no one else is in the office, I could listen to music on my speaker. Like, that's a luxury I did not have for my first 2.5 years out of college. I worked remotely from home, like I referenced earlier. I was writing articles from my mom's basement for 8 hours a day. Like that to me was such like, I felt so trapped. I felt like I wasn't growing. And so literally, then people called me crazy for this last year, because the magic has worn off a little bit, but not entirely. Getting on the New York City subway, this was when I was living in Brooklyn, so the commute was a little bit longer. Getting on the subway in Brooklyn with the 9 a.m. crowd and going across the East River into Manhattan with my backpack on, with nice clothes on, knowing I'm about to go work in New York City, doing my passion career, and I had my like theme music on in my ears, I couldn't help but smile. And I it still hits me of like, this is the dream. This is the American dream. Like my dad came here from Ireland when he was in his teens, and he worked construction and figured out a way to get by, and then was able to, build a house and raise a family. And now here I am, a first generation college student who said when I was like 11 years old that I wanted to be a film reporter, and it's happening actively in one of the biggest cities in the world. None of that is lost on me. Do I have the biggest apartment? No, I have a pretty small apartment. I got 2 roommates. I cook the same Neanderthal meal every day: ground beef on organic seeded bread with a slice of pepper jack cheese, and pasta for dinner and eggs for breakfast. It's not the most lavish personal life, but god damn it, professionally, like this is everything I've ever wanted. So, thank you for giving me the opportunity to just reflect right there, because that feels damn good to say that out loud. And yeah, man, I'm happy. That's the magic of it all. Sure, like those celebrity moments are cool. The reality is, at the end of the day, 90% of them won't remember my name, and that's okay. We're just having a conversation on camera. It's a transaction, right? Like I'm helping you promote your movie. You're helping me get something for our audience, which is interest in your movie or just your career in general. Those moments are great. They're fun. They make for a fun Instagram. But the real magic is having a genuine passion and pride in the work that gets done, and the process of getting it done. The fact that something that I'm happiest to talk about is my morning subway ride tells me I'm doing something right personally. So yeah, it's not lost on me, to sum it up.
I love that. Two more things. Where is Liam Crowley in 10 years?
Oh, Holden, you already know the answer to that question. We don't make 10-year plans, 12-year plans in media. So I hate to give you the PR answer, but I don't know. I'll say personally, I'm 25 now. That's 35. I hope to be married and have at least one kid. That's what I can say personally. Professionally, who knows? Wherever the wind blows.
I mean, that's just how it is. I think that message is always very important to reemphasize. So I would be lying if I said you were the first person to say that to me, but the amount of times I've heard it remains as important.
Well,
And
I'll echo one of my favorite quotes from movies, which is at the end of Night at the Museum 3, when Robin Williams, the late Robin Williams, says to Ben Stiller, Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt, Ben Stiller says, "I have no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow," and Robin Williams responds, "How exciting!" And like chills just saying that out loud. It's true. It's like part of the magic is going into the unknown.
and then this is my last question, and this is the one that will be sponsored one day, because I think it's like the most unique to this podcast. What is advice that you would give to 11-year-old Liam Crowley when he said, or when he realized, I want to be an entertainment reporter, that you know now?
Ooh. Great question. I have the answer. I'm just trying to think of the words to put it together with. Be unapologetic earlier. And I say that in the sense of I've been unapologetically myself for a good like 5 or 6 years, but man, do I wish I took a photo outside of the theater when I saw the Avengers in 2012 on opening night. Like, man, do I wish I took some photos or videos from watching John Cena versus CM Punk at Night of Champions 2012. I was a closeted fan of a lot of the passions that I have today. I didn't want to publicize it. I remember going into 6th grade and I had got, as most of us did in grade school, a new set of folders, a new set of notebooks, new set of binders, and I got all Captain America folders, notebooks. And on the first day, I got made fun of for still being into superheroes, the big bad world of middle school, right? Like elementary school, it was cool to be into those kind of stuff. But as soon as you get to middle school, no, we like skateboards and sports and, put the comics down. And I was like a little ashamed of that. And I don't blame myself. We're all impressionable youth when we're younger. We don't necessarily think for ourselves. But man, if I could go back and collect a little bit more pieces of memorabilia to have today, like one of my favorite things, and this is a shout out to Kevin McCarthy, who we referenced earlier, but he keeps all of his ticket stubs and he will show actors today, like he'll go interview DiCaprio and he'll be like, I have my ticket stub from when I went to see Titanic when it was in theaters, and he'll show it to him. And I'm fortunate to have had my own ticket stub collection since like 2013. But man, did I have some gems from 2008 with Iron Man, from 2012 with The Dark Knight Rises. I would spend so much money to get those back today. And the only reason I didn't keep them back then was because I was a little shy of being a fan and stuff like that. And if I had told myself what my future was going to hold, I would have clung on to everything. Other than that, though, I'm a big believer in not changing a thing. And I say that because every decision you make leads you to where you are now. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I was a little more social in college and went out to a couple more parties. And all my friends will tell me, but if you did that, then how do you know you'd be where you are today? I'm like, you're right. Life is a game of sacrifices, and you can't live every life you want to live. You can live the one that you want, and you got to sacrifice the others. And for that reason, there's not much I would change. But damn it, I wish I still had my ticket stubs.
You want to drop your socials?
Yeah, sure. It's at Liam T. Crowley everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Most active on Instagram, though. So if you're looking for any of my content, check the Instagram.
Thank you so much, Liam. Thank you all for watching another episode of Holden's Conversations. Make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications so you don't miss the latest from Holden's Conversations. Until next time.